the Democratic Party has lost so many voters in this country is that if you weren't a well-educated coastal elite or a Wall Street billionaire who was willing to fund a campaign, increasingly the Democratic Party started ignoring you and actually went even further to start looking down their nose at people or sneering at people or being condescending to people. I will die on this hill. The left did not do themselves any favor by disregarding the concerns of people who saw their lives being changed by what was proposed.
Right. And like to your point earlier, they got away from listening to and advocating for the working class like across the board, which I think I agree that was their biggest mistake.
Yeah. And if like we're talking about the Democrats here, like if they had remained the staunch allies of the working class and the middle class that they built their brand on going way back, if they had remained that party, they would have heard the concerns of working class people instead of Wall Street about the issues around climate change and climate change legislation. And because they heard the concerns, they might have learned to talk about it a little more smartly, or they might have changed the kind of policies that they were chasing after or were interested in.
Or at least modified.
Or modified, yeah. In other words, adapted to respect the people that send them to office. And I think that's a small piece of why the Democratic Party has lost so many voters in this country is that if you weren't a well-educated coastal elite or a Wall Street billionaire who was willing to fund a campaign, increasingly the Democratic Party started ignoring you and actually went even further to start looking down their nose at people or sneering at people or being condescending to people. And I see the same thing on the right to varying degrees. But this is kind of moving off into a different field. But one of the problems that really infects our politics in this country, and it's chicken and egg, cart and horse, I don't know, but like our politics is overwhelmingly dominated by college educated people from middle and upper middle class families, and their associations are again with those same people. The number of working class, small town, Rust Belt Americans who are in the halls of power, the House or the Senate, it's something ridiculous, like 1 or 2%. Like you could probably count on two hands the number of people out of all the representatives in Washington that can identify with a normal American's life. And these people have been going to the same Ivy League schools. They have been hanging out in the same lawyers' offices. They've been hanging out at the same, clubs and extracurricular activities. They've never known scarcity or want in their life. And therefore, how could they understand the existential fear of losing your job, having your town hollowed out, because they've got the economic resources to just pick up and move to some place where it doesn't bother them anymore,
Yeah, well, so that's why I have a hard time understanding why people on the right, and I know a lot of people on the right, some of them are friends, some of them are family, some of them are coworkers. They're telling me things like, oh, well, the Republican Party is now the party of the working class. And I'm like, come on. Like, if you believe that, I have some swampland in Florida to sell you. It is not.
100%. That comes back to the kind of subjects that we've already gone over. Where do these people get the idea that the Republican Party is for the working class? Because you look at their policies, and they are not
Right, and that's the only
I
thing
don't
that
want
really
to.
matters.
I don't
is
want
the
to get
policy.
mired down in like the news of the day. I want to talk about the bigger stuff. But at the end of the day, the big beautiful bill is 100% a perfect example. Okay, if you make less than, was it $44,000 a year, your taxes are going up. If you're a billionaire, you're getting a tax break more than $44,000 a year. By the policies, they are not for the working class. So how do they come to believe this? It is not that they're stupid. It is not that they're bad faith. It is, and I'm not talking about the politicians here, because they are stupid and they are bad faith. I'm talking about the people, we the people. I'm only ever talking about we the people unless I specify the politicians or the talking heads or the elites. I only give a shit about we the people because I am we the people. We are the people. And so the reason that they can believe this comes back to what we'd already kind of covered with the media ecosystems. You've got the talking heads on, let's put it this way, anybody who's telling you that the Republican Party is for the working class, I guarantee you, they are getting their information from Fox News, Breitbart, Drudge Report, OAN, Newsmax, The Daily Wire. Any of these sound familiar? Okay. These are the right-wing media ecosystem, and they are in lockstep. And you go to this channel, and they're saying the Republicans are now the party of the working class. And you click over here, and they say the Republicans are the party of the working class. And you click over here, and the Republicans are the party of the working class.
They love you to believe that.
Now, it is both true and not true. It is true when they're talking about they want to defend your right to worship the way you want. They want to defend your right to keep guns. They want to defend your freedom to drive a big pickup truck. They are the party of the working class, in image, right? And Madison Avenue branded up like, buy now, party of working class. Okay, but when you open the package, okay, this is where they are not. They are not for economic policy that benefits working class Americans or small town America. They are not for working class when it comes to you being able to afford your health care and not have to declare bankruptcy of it. They are not working class when it comes to you having the economic means and the regulatory neighborhood in which you can start your small business and thrive to compete with the big guys. They are not for the working class on any number of these things that actually matter. They're working class when it comes to branding, image, and culture war bullshit. They are not working class when it comes to economics. And they will continue to tell you that some version of trickle-down economics work. But we are living in the world of trickle-down. We're not living in the woke, socialist, lefty, DEI world. We're living in the end result of, it started before Reagan, but really, Reagan kicked it into gear. George Sr. carried it on. Clinton came in and abandoned the working class people and adopted the neoliberal ideas of less tax for the people up top and let's make it easy, let's knock down trade barriers so business can do whatever it wants to. And then George W. Bush came in and continued on with tax cuts for wealthy people, and then Obama came in and gave bailouts to Wall Street and billionaires and left Americans high and dry. We have tried it. We have given all the money and all the tax breaks and taken off all the regulations to everybody who already has the power and the resources. And the manna has yet to rain down from heaven.
It's never going to.
And it's not going to, because I could bring up the whole what the hell happened in 1971
the wealth gap has just increased
bring up
exponentially.
Graph after graph after graph after chart after chart after chart from hundreds of different independent organizations who have all looked at the same data sets over and over and over again. And it is consistent. When you look at the concentration of wealth the world we live in today, the world we are not happy with, whether you're on the left or the right, the world we are living in today is a result of our wages being absolutely flatlined in relation to inflation. Our wages are almost virtually flatlined for the last 80, 90, 2000, 40 years. 40 years of almost virtual wage stagnation, while the cost of education has gone through the roof. The cost of healthcare has gone through the roof. The cost of housing has gone through the roof. The cost of automobiles has gone through the roof. As a matter of fact, I'm in the process of listening to a new book now, and they're laying out a bunch of really interesting data. If you go back 20 years, only rich people had big flat screen TVs. We have now entered a time in history when all of the, furnitures and all of the stuff that you put in a house has become cheap, relatively speaking. Everybody, I don't hear too many people saying it anymore, but people talk about, poor people want to complain, they got 2 TVs and they've got a microwave oven and they've got all this stuff. All of that stuff has become cheap. But everything that goes into actually building a good life has become increasingly expensive and virtually unattainable at this point. Cost of housing, cost of medical care, cost of education, cost of starting new businesses. Like, all of the things that really matter have gotten really, really, really expensive, and our wages have not kept up.
Right. Well, some people want to blame Democrats for that, but it's really right-wing policies.
It's right. Well, you can blame the Democrats for it because they adopted right-wing policies. And now the right has, because the Democrats have, and this is not all. Like I'm talking about the political apparatus and the media system, that they have moved right. Their economic policies are exactly what Reagan and Bush Sr. would have wanted to put in place.
Right, the trickle-down economics, which we know
the trickle-down economics, the globalization, the tax breaks, and knocking out regulation. That is what the Democrats have become. All the while talking at length about climate change as an existential threat, talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, talking about trans rights, talking about cultural issues at the end of the day. And in exchange for implementing policies that would help everyone, instead of implementing policies that would increase innovation and encourage new business creation in this country. And that's something I don't want to skirt around that. I draw a real hard distinction between creating business and protecting legacy corporation.
Yeah.
Okay? Because the same thing that is really good for Northrop Grumman or Apple or General Electric or Westinghouse, things that are really good for them are not necessarily good for your neighborhood hardware store or your local machine shop, and so when I talk about creating new businesses, I'm talking about that smaller level, that stuff that's still rooted in the community, that really is a net job creator. Because when you give one of these big Wall Street corporations a massive tax break and they don't have to implement this expensive regulation to clean up their act,
they're not necessarily hiring more people.
No, they're not hiring new people. Well, they're doing stock buybacks is what they're doing with it, which just inflates the value of their stock. So it's great for the shareholders and the people who are getting dividends, but that ain't us. Not to a large extent.
Terrible for working people.
The idea is that our Democratic Party basically pays lip service to what the lefties want. But when the rubber hits the road, they implement policies that are indistinguishable from the Republican policies of 1980.
Yeah.
And so we don't have an actual left party. I mean, Bernie Sanders is considered this radical left democratic socialist, but when you compare him to left-wing politicians and parties of Europe, he's like center moderate left.
Yeah.
So we don't even know what left is. Again, this comes back
Yeah.
to our media ecosystems and the manufactured consensus or manufactured consent and the narratives that they tell and the way they talk about things.
Right.
Because this all started with how do they believe this is, because it's you go to all these channels and they're all saying the exact same thing. So then you go to you go to YouTube and you go to Instagram and you listen to the podcast, the right-wing podcasters, and they're all still saying the same thing.